Ghosted, not by the Holy Spirit.
Not by the Holy Spirit, man. So.
Ghosted, not by the Holy Spirit. Talk about it with Franjez. Today we have two special guests. Our first guest is an actor, a producer, an entrepreneur. The list goes on. Today's guest is Edvin Ortega and returning guest co-host Michael Muqattash.
What's up? Welcome, bro. Nice to see you again, brother.
Thank you so much, bro. Thank
Long
you for
time.
having me.
Absolutely. Thank you both for being here today.
Yeah. Fran, thank you for having us.
Absolutely. So you guys embraced each other right away. Can you please tell us the origin? How'd you guys meet?
Palmer Road, Saunders High School.
That's right, Yonkers,
Right.
man. YO 914.
Yeah.
Nice.
Was cool with Edvin in high school, man, and he was doing his thing back in high school. And I was proud to say I was a member on his team, third block.
100%. 100%.
They were
100%.
prepping me to be the bass singer. Didn't work out, but Edvin went on to do big
100%.
things. Yeah.
You don't even know. I don't know if you remember this, but so back in the day, I remember two things specifically. One, I was wearing these like tinted glasses, baby blue glasses. I had some frosted tips, and then you said to me, "Hey man, that's all good, but you Justin Timberlake, but aren't you Cuban? Like, are you trying to, what's up with the Latin stuff?" And that always stayed with me because at the time I really wasn't doing anything to do with like, my background Latin as far as like the music or anything like that, the culture in that artistic way. And I remember you said that to me, and that always has stayed with me up until now. I was actually telling my wife we were going to do this today, and I was like, "Oh, my friend, he had mentioned this to me back in high school, and now being so involved in the Latin entertainment and culture and everything like that is something that's like, you were right, you were right." And it's like, "Oh, what about this other section of what you do?"
Wow. And it's taken off. It's like maybe the biggest subsect of pop music, right? It got to be the Latin pop music.
Absolutely. Spanish music, I think it's number one, like in 2024, I believe, or 2023.
This guy was Pitbull way before. When Pitbull was a pup, right? When he was a pup, this guy was there.
That's right.
Yeah, God bless, man. I'm glad that was, that he stuck with you.
Definitely.
God is good, bro.
Thank you, bro. That, and I'll tell you one more other thing that you probably don't remember at all, but I called you called me one time. I don't know what it was. Remember we had, without throwing too many names out there, but we had Billy, who was really, really a fantastic singer, right?
Billy Chigas.
Especially for that, especially at that age. So
yeah.
to give you a little
and
back,
he had the look too. He looked like one of these like Backstreet Boy type.
100%. So to give you a little backstory, so I remember there was this talent show in high school, right? And I remember years before, I would pass by it and I would hear, people doing things on it. I was always kind of curious. I was like, man, I wanna see what's going on, and then I want to do something in there. But I was always very shy, and I was also kind of like a soccer player, that kind of stuff. So it's like, this is not my thing. This is not my role, And it wasn't until like senior year, the last year, when we're doing the whole thing, and NSYNC is out, Backstreet Boys is out. It's a whole big thing, right? Everybody's loving it.
Yeah, year 2000.
Yeah.
Basically,
everybody's playing like they don't love it, but everybody's loving it, right? Right. But I'm like, hey man, I love this stuff. This stuff is really, really cool. So this other kid, Billy, was already so much into that. He looked the part, sounded the part, sounded like he was just off the record, off the album, and so I'm trying to talk to this girl actually during lunch. During third block lunch for her, right? At the time.
That's where we got the name from.
I'm trying to talk to this girl, and I notice I'm trying my best, and I'm like, hey, and this and that. And he comes over because he wanted to talk to me about doing some music stuff, and he just starts singing. And I remember specifically the song was "Music of My Heart" by NSYNC and Gloria Estefan. He starts singing. This girl goes, he just loses it, and I'm there like, okay, but I was like, that's it right there. This kid's got something. So we started, doing some stuff, and then you would give us some advice and things like that. I called you one time, and I was like, hey man, what do you think about the song? I think I even sung it to you. It was "This I Promise You," and you were like, okay, that's okay, that worked. That's pretty cool, that kind of thing. So I appreciate all that. All that stuff always stuck with me.
God bless you, man. That's
Absolutely,
good to
man.
hear, bro.
Absolutely, bro. So
yeah, this guy's one of those guys that had a dream, and worked his ass off and like made something happen, bro. Made a name for himself, cut his own lane, and just kept going. Didn't give up. Inspired everybody around him.
Nice.
Because he got the brains too. He wasn't just like good at singing and dancing and shit like that. Like he can put things together. He can manage. You know what I'm saying? He can put like that's a lot of people lack that part. Like the understanding and the know-how. It's not just about drive. If you're a moron and you got drive, you're gonna get used. If you're really that talented, But God bless, bro. You got the total package, I guess.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Wow, it's gonna come on the road now and just say that outside.
Your intro, yeah.
No, that was great. I'm like, wow. I'm fine now. I can just print that somewhere. That's fantastic. Thank you. I appreciate it.
He got it recorded already. You should press rewind.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
So where were you born?
I was born in Havana, Cuba.
My man.
Yeah. So and I left Cuba when I was 7. I spent 2 years in Panama. We were supposed to be there for a week. And
shit.
Yeah. So I remember we got off the plane. We got $100. I'll never forget. It was the first time we got off the plane. I got $100. Somebody gave it to my mom. And it was like, okay, this is for you guys for the week. I'm getting chills talking about it. $100 for the week. This will get you through the week, and then next week you're off to New York. And I remember we were going to stay in somebody's house. I forgot what it was, but somewhere in the countryside. So we're driving there. We stop at like what is sort of like a 7-Eleven for the area. I remember walking in there and seeing Spam. And I was like,
is it first time seeing Spam?
Not Spam, the email.
Not Spam, the
right? Like the shit in a can that they used to make us eat.
Well, to me, I didn't know.
His audience ain't gonna know about Spam.
To me, I didn't even know it was that. I was like, wow, it's ham. It's ham and it's available here. You could just, I remember seeing that and seeing Nestle Quick, the powder. I was like, wow, this is great. So we get some little supplies, get to the house. Now we're here. That's also the first time I ever saw wrestling. I actually was there. One of the kids had it on their TV because it was like a shared type of situation. He was playing in the morning. I remember I would come out and I would see this and I'm like, oh, what is this? And that's when I first became a fan. So anyway, we're there. The week happens, goes by, and we're like, okay, so what's next? We got a telegram that, something had happened because my uncle was paying for us to make the trip. Something had happened on his side that basically there was like money stolen, things like that. So we were basically stuck. So what was supposed to be a week ended up being 2 years. And
wow.
And, God bless, we talk about hard work, which I completely believe in. I think, that's everything. I get that from my mom and my grandma because they were there with me. They did a little business where we were basically selling food, Cuban food, to local stores. I would go with them, drop it off. And that's how we kind of made a living for that for those years, and we thought we were there. And funny enough, what ended up sort of being like a scary moment, which was when President Noriega of Panama, was being taken out of power by the U.S. Right, ended up being a lucky break for us because that opened up. Basically religious refugee situations, which is how we ended up making it back to New York.
Wow.
So that kind of scary situation. I mean, we were legit like crawling when that happened. We were legit crawling from the first floor of the building where we were at, with all the refugees, all the immigrants that were there. Everybody's crawling, trying to get all the way to the top, to the highest we could in the building. And after that all clear, I have a picture with an American soldier, and he's like, humongous, and I'm wearing his vest.
Oh, man.
He had come into the apartment after like the dust settled. He had come into the apartment we were at, and they're doing like a search. They're making sure there's nobody hostile around, and he sees that I have a water gun, but it looks just like an Uzi, right? Because in Panama, you can get away with that. So it's a black Uzi, like just there on the table. Not like here, you have the different colors. It's just a black, like mint like from a movie, Uzi. They come in, they're like, "Hey, what is going on here, Papa?" And we're like, my mom has to take it over to him and show him that it's, hey, it's a water gun. It's just, he's like, yeah, you probably shouldn't have that. I'm like, okay, no problem. So we ended up taking a picture later. He put like his vest on me and the helmet and everything like that. And, from there, things got easier. They opened up some traveling restrictions through some religious, organizations for refugees. And, somehow we were able to make the trip to New York. So,
Wow.
So negative became positive. So
that's awesome. Yeah, God bless, man. Wow.
Yeah, that's a troop right there, man.
thank you.
So you said you were introduced to spam and wrestling because in Cuba there's no American products, right?
No, there's nothing. I mean, there's no Superman.
Nothing American, nothing.
No, I mean, all that stuff is, boycott. It's all illegal. I mean, we saw, Superman, like the movie and the cartoon,
But it was bootleg,
on
right?
bootleg because the whole thing is, so Superman, right? You have the scene where he's got the American flag and he's putting it on the moon, right?
Yeah.
So then what does it tell you? Superman is an alien, but he's American, an American alien. So that to them, at the time, the government symbolized that the American man is greater because he was conquering the moon. So you can't have that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can't. No. It's like he's like, no.
Can't give people that much hope.
Exactly. You can't conquer no moon. What are you talking about? So all that stuff is like you can't see any of that. I mean, I think we were lucky enough to get some music. A lot of it from Mexico during the time. Luis Miguel, Juan Gabriel, the people like that. And then like Michael Jackson was pretty much the only other thing that was sort of around that was from other countries.
Yeah.
He's probably the most famous person to ever live besides like Christ, right?
Who's that,
And
Michael Jackson?
Muhammad. Michael Jackson.
Yeah, I guess he's up there.
He's got to be up there.
I mean, he passed through Cuba, so maybe, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, when you get to New York, between then and when you meet Mike, what's going on?
Man,
He was just looking for Mike.
yeah. I don't even know, man. It was so many weird things. Well, first was learning English, right? Was the big challenge.
What were you, like 8, 9?
Yeah, like nine. So I remember I got off the bus. We took, we flew to Miami from Panama. Then we took the bus. At that point, my uncle, rest in peace, he recently passed away. Took the bus with us from Miami to New York. And I remember we got off in Washington Heights. And when I got off, it was in January. Man, that cold. I was like, no, put me back. Take me back to Panama. This is no. So we got off. It's cold. It's freezing. I got like a little jacket. I'm like, what the heck is this? And we basically stayed with eventually my grandfather eventually came later on. We moved into our own place. And from there, just, starting school and kind of figuring out this new life and understanding, the new life and understanding the rules here versus the rules in Cuba versus the rules in Panama and, the different cultures. Yonkers is just
A melting pot.
Yeah, exactly. There's actually not a lot of Cubans, as a matter of fact. Maybe now, but at the time, there really wasn't. It was, on the Latin side, it was a lot of Mexican, Puerto Rican, Dominican. That's kind of like the main. And every culture is different. And dealing, with certain cultures, it's a different flow. That's the problem that I had. I never was, Latin enough for some of those other cultures, but I also wasn't white enough for, the opposite. So for me, that whole, up until high school, honestly, up until senior year, honestly, I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know who I am. Who do I talk to? Yeah, I don't know. I'm just here. So it was interesting, man. Just trying to figure out, hey, like, where do I fit in? What do I like? I remember, before, actually, no, it might have been freshman year, high school, something like that. I remember I was so upset, so like just done with socializing, in that aspect. That I remember I got off the bus, the yellow bus, right? My daughter loves the yellow bus, even though I explained to her, you have no idea what the yellow bus actually is.
Yeah.
You get to get dropped off by dad. Now, do you know how nice that is? That's
That's a
a different
luxury.
thing. So anyway, so I get dropped off the bus, man, and I was so out of it. I was so upset just with, being here and dealing with people and feeling just weird and awkward and like I didn't belong. And I sat down on a porch, and a dog just came up to me. A German Shepherd came up to me out of nowhere.
Fucking German now. Cuban, German. Oh, man.
Yeah, it came up to me and just right here, man. And I was like, and he just stayed with me. And eventually the owner came and they were like, hey, man, are you okay? They offered me some candy, which I probably should have taken. But I was like, oh, cool, thank you. Okay, hey, you have a nice dog. Awesome. Hey, do you want to come up and get some cookies? I said, no, I'm good, but thank you. But I really appreciate your dog. And that day I realized, I'm like, man, I got to just do a little better and for myself, and making myself feel better no matter what anybody else is doing or what they're saying or what they're thinking. And, just be for me, for my family, but more importantly, doing right by me, my feelings and things that I want and things like that. So eventually, at some point, high school came on, and honestly, nothing clicked for me in high school till music, till we started doing the whole boy band thing. I never in a million, trillion years thought that anything like that was possible. It just wasn't, and it's not even like I ever had any real like motivation or support from my family, because it's just something that they didn't see as a possibility. The most successful thing that I could ever do on that side was I was either going to be some kind of a sport person, ideally baseball or boxing, that was it, or God bless, a doctor. Right, that was the only thing. My mom used to say, "Be a plastic surgeon, so when I get old, you can kind of do a little work on me." And that was it. That was it. The only other thing I ever thought about was being an astronaut, and because I would never eat when I was little, my mom would say, "You can't be an astronaut. You don't weigh enough. You're gonna go to the moon and you're just gonna go into space." So getting to school, man, and finding music and finding people that I could talk to and just kind of vibe with was just like a whole eye-opening experience. Like, wow, okay, this is something that feels like me. We can actually have a conversation.
What was the actual introduction to music?
Yeah, well, I've always liked music.
Yeah,
I've always just kind of shied away from it. But I remember actually being into soaps. Or in in Spanish, telenovelas, right? That was always my thing. That's what I grew up on. When I was here, I would watch all the channels with my grandma. Then I would go to school and try to act them out. And then, of course, nobody got it. And they would just look at me like, okay, this is weirdo, So I'm like, okay. There was one or two always like Latin girls that would get it. And they would be like, oh, can you recite that for me again? And I would just say the lines from the soap opera, from the episode that I had just watched. That kind of led into like musicals, which I thought were the coolest thing. Like, oh, you can act and do music together. Like, that's so, wow, that's crazy, But I've always liked music, Latin music, into like hip hop, and then later into like the 90s boy band type of scene. When I heard, I think that light was when I heard Quit Playing Games with My Heart by the Backstreet Boys, right? I just never had heard that sound before, At first, I thought it was, girls singing.
Wow.
Honestly, all love, But at first, I literally thought, I was like, oh, wow, this is weird. It's called the Backstreet Boys, but it's like girls. What is it? I just didn't know. I just literally didn't know. And
that was the Cuban side. In the
the Cuban side. I'm like,
nah.
I'm like, esto no puede ser.
Cut your hair.
Yeah. Yo, no, for real. I just thought, man, this is really cool. Like, what is this? How is this? That led into something else and into something else. And then eventually, it just became about, girls. Honestly, it just became about music, boy band, girls. whoa, like there's a circle here. Like they like this stuff. I like this music. I like them. Like, you know, essentially that was the motivation at the beginning, you know? And then it just kind of went into like other things like, wow, okay, what else can come from this? I like performing it. It feels, you know, something. It feels good, you know? And then so on and so on. It just kind of kept building.
So then next came college?
Well, so what happened was, yeah, it came college. I took a little break. So this is what happened. So we did the talent show in Saunders.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, so just to you know give you a little perspective. So you know we performed with NSYNC before. You know we've performed in my group with Joey, and that has been like here. Like I literally feel like anything's possible because I've done that. I never thought
That's sick.
being in Panama, you know, dodging hallways, dodging bullets, that I would be performing on stage with members of NSYNC. I would never, you know, that would have been a thing. As good as that was, as good and amazing and a blessing as that was, performing in the high school talent show, nothing's ever gonna pop that.
No
nothing's
way.
ever gonna pop that. 100%, 100%, because it was.
That was the first taste, the first hit.
The first hit. It was
Got
the
'em
first
all.
hit. You were a believer, but not a lot of people were. You know what I mean? Like, you know, definitely not a lot of people were, and you know, people telling you no, and this and that, and it sounds stupid and childish looking at it now, right? When you really look at time and everything like that, but it starts somewhere. And you know, I remember that night. So you talk about production. We were adding so many people to that show, you know, to the band. We were trying to get this person. Then you're turning about we need a bass singer and all these different things that we didn't really know. Like at the time, I didn't really know. I had a feeling, but I didn't really know, you know, what we were doing. And the day of the show, we get this fancy headsets and this and that. We get there and we're like, you know, we're gonna win. Because we're gonna have a theme, we're gonna have production, we're gonna put nothing works, nothing's turning on, nothing's turning on. It was a teacher, I forgot what the teacher's name was, but I remember him saying, "Hey, no, don't worry, we're gonna get through the first act, and then during the break, I'm gonna fix it for you." That never happened, never came back. That never came back. So now we have one, you know, wired microphone for like 5 dudes that are gonna be like dancing and singing this kind of stuff, and I'm stressing out. So then our friend Billy, who was already had stage fright is what it was, and we, you know, didn't know really what to call it at the time. He goes to start speaking. He just disappears and starts speaking. So I had to bribe this girl that he had a crush on. I was like, "Hey, can you please take him to just get some pizza or something like that, this and that?" And she did. It was very nice. He came back and was like, "I'm ready." Yeah, that was so nice. And you know, we got it done. He jumped out there, got it done, man. And I remember, I still remember, you know, when they announced that we had won. Oh man, that was like the greatest feeling. Like, and I have tape, and my mom in the audience is like, "So who won?" And literally, this other lady's like, your son. You know, like all this kind of stuff. Wow. And it was beautiful, man. It was incredible. It was you know, you can never recreate that again. You know, that was sort of like, wow, from there we tried to get really serious about it. And I mean, we were talking to like a record label at the time. We had different people come in. But the thing is, you know, not everybody, you know, kind of like you were talking earlier about the whole thing with the podcast, right? Not everybody can keep it going. You know, and literally everybody, you know, for many other reasons, just took different turns. You know,
of course.
And I've always the way I cast the show, it's the same way I cast anything I do now. I always need to be sort of, you know, the bottom person. What I mean is everybody that I should cast should be top, you know, as far as talents, right? They should be able to do dance, this, that. I'm just there, you know, like I'm cool, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But the difference is, you know, I'm always there. You know, everybody would bail and I would keep it going and I would keep it going. And that would bring on opportunities to me that I never thought, in a million years would happen. Just never. Just from, I think it's maybe the stubbornness in me to be like, oh, you told me to quit. So now I'm not. It literally is that. I mean, what happened in college? You asked that before. What happened was I went to audition for American Idol. It was the second season of American Idol.
This is during college? Before?
Right in the like post high school.
Okay.
So, and I got there, man, and I was feeling myself. I'm not gonna lie. I thought,
Of course, after your highlight.
No, but I mean, listen, no, and it's kind of one of those things, you're young, you're like, oh, I'm looking like, yeah, this is the perfect, got the hair, the spikes, this, that. You got like the fancy turtleneck, the crossover, the turtleneck, the whole thing, right? Man, and I get there, and, we line outside, we're sleeping. It's not like now. It's not like now where you get a ticket, you can come back later. No, we were sleeping on the street to get seen, And
what was it, first come, first served?
Well, it was essentially first come, first served, but you had to get a ticket. So you're sleeping overnight on the street to get a ticket, right? To then come back in a few hours, to then make another line, to then at some point get seen, So we get there, and I always thought like, hey, one thing I do well is just, entertainment. What can I really do? I'm looking at this guy, he's doing some crazy like R&B thing. This other guy's doing this. I'm like, okay, what can I do? Like, well, let me just not be boring. Let me just do something. So I do some stuff. It gets me through the round. Next round comes up, producer round, gets me through the round. I'm like, all right, cool. So before you even get on TV, there's like 3 or 4 rounds that happen, So finally I get to the part where you meet, at the time was Randy, Simon, and Paula. I get there and I'm about to go up. I'm like, man, damn. I'm like, now mind you, I haven't slept for 2 nights, right? So I'm like this. I haven't had a decent meal, like whatever, right? We're there. There's all these people that I've met throughout the past few years in there as well. It was the hot thing to do. And Ryan Seacrest comes out and he's like, hey, everybody. So we've seen a lot of great people today. So much talent in New York. Wow, New York is hyping it up. I didn't even know about what a hype was during that time. I'm just like, damn, this dude's like, right, yeah, Ryan, that's right.
The spikes.
Yeah. I'm like hyping it up. But a lot of boring. I'm just gonna say it. I'm sorry.
Wow.
A lot of people boring. A lot of talent, but these guys, I've seen 1,000 people. You think they got to remember you because you're singing this note? No. You got to go in there and do something, blow them away, leave a mark. That's what he says. And I'm sitting there. I'm like, okay. Ryan Seacrest tells me I got to leave a mark. And I'm like, so a few minutes after is my turn. And, I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to go all in. I'm here, one more round and I'm going to Hollywood, and at that time, I thought there was no other thing. This is it. Make it or break it right here, So I have my sister's, some of her props for whatever reason. I had her book. I don't know what it was. I think I might have gotten her book back, mix of mine, whatever. So I have her book back, and I'm feeling around. I'm like, it's like a box of glitter here. Oh shit!
Oh my God! No way!
So I take a bunch of glitter and I put it in my hand.
He's a good storyteller, right?
I put it in my hand and I go in there and they're like, hey, what's your name? I'm like, hey, my name is Edvin. Not quite yet, but yeah. My name is Edvin Ortega, and they're like, oh, and they do the usual. And you think you're the next American Idol? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. And they're like, okay, off you go. And I go, okay. So then, I think I was saying Just Got Paid by NSYNC. So before I even start singing, I do this weird spin, about face move, and the glitter comes up. I do the whole spin, and I start going into it, and I'm just going, man. I'm doing some choreo, whatever I know. I do the little Michael kick, this, that, whatever, da 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 da, and then I'm, ending it with like a one of those type of like the cliche type of riff, right? And I'm like, thank you, thank you, and it's just quiet. It's just quiet. And then, Simon is like, well, that was awful.
Wow.
He's the dickhead guy.
Yeah.
That's always mean to
And
everybody,
I
right?
saw him years later, by the way, but we'll get to this here. And then Randy's like, "Oh, dog, I don't know, man. That was, I don't know, man. Yeah. How you think you did?" I was like, yeah, I think I nailed it. I think it's pretty good."
Did you guys see the glitter?
I'm like, he's like, "What was that?" I was like, so they asked me about it. I'm like, "Oh, well, I was out here, and you guys were talking about it was boring, so I figured like let me add a little something, And then Paula goes, and of course her character is like the nicer one, right? And she's like, "Yeah, oh honey, yeah, that was something."
Wow.
And then Simon goes, "Really, Paula? That's all you have to say? You think that was something? What do you got to do?" And she's like, "No, and that it wasn't that bad. Like that, I get it, type of thing." Randy's like, "Oh, dog, man, it's gotta be a no for me, dog. That kind of thing." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, I appreciate you, thank you." Then Paula is like,
Who, Paula Abdul?
Paula Abdul.
Oh, shit.
She's like, she said something that later on, literally, I took literally the let me take the positive out of this, right? What she says to me is, "There's something for you in this, but not this."
Ooh.
That's what she said. That's what she said to me. At the time, when she said that, I was heartbroken. I mean, I was depressed. I stopped doing anything in entertainment for like 2-3 years after that. But she said that to me. She said, "There is something in you for you in this, but not this." And she said it in a very nice way. And then, of course, Simon was like, I don't know. I don't even know what to say. He's probably like, "You're crazy. I don't even know, whatever." And then he was saying stuff to get me hyped up, because they had the camera. So they want to get your reaction. And I felt myself kind of like getting into like the Cuban mode, and I'm like, "Oh, well," I don't know. And then I noticed, I'm like, no, like, whatever, it is what it is. So I just said, "Okay, well, thank you very much. Have a great day." I walked out, and Ryan's outside. "How did it go?" And I'm like, "Man, you told me to go crazy, and I think I was too crazy, So whatever, we hugged it out. It was cool. I left, put my best happy face on. When I went home, I was completely depressed. I stopped doing anything in music. I got a job working at a bank just because I was like, okay, I'm just going to cash some checks and go to the club on Saturdays, like that. And that was that, I just stopped doing anything at all.
And if you would have listened to Paula.
Well,
he did eventually.
Well, later on.
At the moment.
Yeah, at the moment.
If you would have really dissected what she said.
Yeah, I wasn't mature enough.
Yeah,
and I didn't know. I just didn't know. I mean,
that.
Nobody tells you. I mean, I have this problem now with people who do entertainment now and they get out of college and things like that. They train you to say, learn these songs, and then you show up and, you open the book and the piano guy's going to play and then you audition. They don't teach you how to actually do it in a real world, every day, with the hustle and paying bills and doing all these things. It's a trap. They don't really teach you what you actually need to be successful, which is not knowing, what the augmented seventh note in a keyboard is. That's not it, So, but I didn't know that at the time. I learned that later on through trial and error, but that was that. So then I'm off. I'm off to depression land somewhere, just kind of like
back to high school.
What is
days,
life?
right?
Yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know what's going on.
Then that German Shepherd.
Where's
came
that
back.
German Shepherd?
I couldn't have a dog, man. They didn't leave one in my apartment.
Still got cookies upstairs, lady. I'm ready.
So that was that for a while, and I would write songs and stuff like that. But I would just be, no. It's very, very much about just no. It's just 9 to 5. I'm gonna check in. Weekend, I'm gonna go to the meatpacking district at the time, West 14, and just boom, and cool. At some point, we'll figure the next move out. But that was that for a time being. I did meet a lot of girls from that time though,
I bet.
which was okay. So somehow that was fun, but that was that, and it wasn't a while later till anything changed again.
So, when does college come in?
So college comes in a few years after that.
That's Mercy College.
So I went to Westchester Community College first.
Okay.
So I took a little break, the famous break that people take sometimes.
Oh yeah.
I went to WCC, and just it was cool.
Where Yonkers be.
That's it. They call it the 13th grade, something like that, right?
Even though it's a phenomenal school,
it's
top
fantastic
10 in America in community colleges.
Nice.
Talking about the richest county in
Fantastic.
the country.
Nice.
Like Westchester's the richest.
Yeah.
Period.
I like
so, and they got phenomenal teachers, bro.
Yeah,
You're
100%.
talking like from the best universities in America working at WCC.
100%. It's and again, I kind of went into it like, okay, because I was supposed to go to different schools. I would go I was supposed to go to Lehman, and I would back out. I was supposed to go to Iona, and I backed out. I just wasn't sure what I was gonna do, so I ended up going there, and I figured, okay, well, this will give me a little buffer zone.
What did you do? Communications?
Liberal arts, liberal arts,
okay.
science. There, I took a few like cool classes, like dance classes, philosophy, things like that. That I was like, wow, this is really, eye opening and a whole different thing. I worked there. I worked at the ESL department. I ended up getting like a job there, just kind of, again, pay the bills and, add another gig onto what I was doing. And that's pretty much it, man. I left there. Nothing real figured out. I thought about what do I do next? That's how I ended up in Mercy College. The reason why I ended up in Mercy College was because they had an awesome studio.
There you
awesome
go.
Recording studio, right? And what I was told when I met with the director there was, hey, we will give you. I'm very much, like street knowledge or like experience on the job type of thing. So what they said was like, hey, we will take your experience and apply it to, the program, so that you can, get X, Y, and Z and get into these other better classes, because a lot of the stuff was you had to do those prerequisites, and you can use the studio whenever you want. When I heard that, I was like, okay, this is where life is taking me now. We're gonna be behind the scenes.
What was that because it was brought to your attention that they offer that there and they have a studio, or did you want music before you even applied there?
I don't think the music thing ever left. It was always here. It was always like a temptation.
So when they mentioned we have a studio,
So when they mentioned it was like, okay, this is something that's being given to me, offered to me, and at the time I actually had been doing an internship at MTV Networks, and what they told me was you can actually take that and apply it here, and get credits and all. And I like that. I like the sense of like, getting rewarded for stuff that I had already been doing that I just didn't know how to label. Like I'm already working, I'm already doing all these things. And so I the best thing that happened to me there was two things. One, I found out I'm not a technology person. So the studio for me, I was like, great, what do I do? And they would be like, here's the lesson. I would be like, great, what do I do? That was not it. But I enjoyed, being in the community. I did take they don't even have it anymore, but at the time it was called Business. I think it's Music Business One or something like that. It's called something else now. That was, that was like me. That was all the music stuff behind the scenes, the management, the entertainment, the BS, the good stuff, the this. We went to BMI. We took a trip to BMI and met with like the director there, and all that was really
Nice.
like, okay, I'm a songwriter now. I'm a producer now. That's what I felt, at the time at least. So I started working on that and trying to put some things out there, and it didn't really go to where I thought it was going to go, but it went somewhere. It led me to the next place, the next place, whatever that was. Even now I still go back to Mercy, and I work with people there every once in a while, and hey, can I use the studio here, this, that, we collaborate on some stuff.
Nice.
But it did lead me to knowledge and reading and really marketing and figuring out that the most important thing is not what the product is getting the product done. You know what I mean? It's not, you can walk in here and you could be, whoever, but you just got to get it done. You can have the best idea, right? You can have the best product, but you got to get it done. And a lot of people wait, till they're ready. You know?
Yeah, you're big on.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, just do it.
Just they say
Yeah, shit done.
just shoot then aim, type of thing, like. And I thought maybe that's controversial now.
That's pretty
Sorry,
bad, yeah.
I didn't mean it anyway. But as far as that, it's kind of
That
like
was his philosophy with the Uzi.
God. I'm gonna get Hunter for this. No, but I just think people wait. They're always waiting for like the perfect project. Put this thing on in this color. It's like, don't worry, just put it out.
Yeah.
Just put it out. Get it done. Because while you're waiting, 10 other people just put it out. And their stuff might be a 7, but guess what? It's out.
You know what's even worse than that is until you get that out, your next project can't come through.
100%.
That's even worse than worrying about other people. You can't get to the next one until the first one's completely out.
100%. 100%. Every time. I mean, for me, with any of the projects that I have now, so many people came to me. No, you got to do this, and that before, and I would always be tempted to listen, but there would always be something in the back of my mind that would get a little upset. They would be like, no, why are you being pushed down? What is wrong with you releasing what you think is right, or whatever you want? It's you. Put it out. Why not?
Yeah.
Why is somebody going to come to you and try to, compress you? Doesn't make sense. So that's what I learned. Just put it out. Because also, like you said, maybe your second attempt will be perfect. But how do you know if you don't put something out?
Yep.
Right? Whatever it is. A drawing, movie, song, whatever it is, right? A podcast, you have to put it out. While you're in your room typing about, how many, different color coded ideas you have, 5 people already put that out.
Oh, yeah.
Your idea is already gone.
Oh, yeah.
And the market doesn't care necessarily whose is better, who is consistent.
Who's first and who's consistent.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. So Mercy College, what happens at Mercy College with music and the studio?
So at Mercy, I got to work. So I got signed to a production deal in Mercy by.
Why the quotations?
I got signed by another student.
With his financial aid money, huh?
Yeah, And they had
Those checks were the best, bro. WCC.
Nice.
The next day, everybody had something new.
Yeah.
I remember my friends were dropping out just waiting for the check and then drop out. Yeah, man. Shit.
That's right.
Yo.
Go back and sell the books. I really
Yeah,
need this
the
anymore.
books you don't need. Yeah,
I'm good. Like, where are we going this week? But yeah, so I just I got signed to a production deal, 4-song production deal.
Nice.
Somebody I've never seen since then. We recorded some stuff, and it just kind of fizzled. It kind of just fizzled there. But the business aspect of it, bless you, was very cool. It was very good. It was very eye-opening. Left Mercy, and then I went right to work with MTV. My internship sort of expired. I got a position thanks to the professors of Mercy. They put in a great word for me, specifically Professor Barimski. He had a good in there, and he set me up, and I was there working at the prestigious MTV, which I was like, wow.
Yeah, that's a
Holy,
big deal.
this kid from Cuba is up in MTV right now. I'm talking about TRL. But guess what? I was working the graveyard shift. And I didn't see anybody. I was in a video room editing what would later become the iTunes, the Hulu, all that stuff, like on-demand stuff, right? At the early offset of that, editing like the Daily Show and editing Taylor Swift's first video.
Wow.
She was talking about, teardrops on my guitar when it was CMT, Country Music Television, and being like, oh, cool. All right, cool. So that happened, and I'm there, for like a year. Now I'm starting to get upset because I'm there for a year. I'm still not doing really any music, really for me. I'm kind of just there, but I'm involved in the industry somehow, right? At that time, they do I don't know if it was the end of the year party. I think it was the holiday party or something like that, and I couldn't go because I had to work the graveyard shift, right? And the party was gonna get popping from like 12 to 2 or whatever,
yeah.
right? So then I thought, why am I at MTV? You know, taking this subway back to Yonkers and like 5 a.m. or whatever. After my shift, the party's happening right now, and I'm here. I'm not seeing anybody. I could sneak away for 20 minutes, right? I'm not seeing anybody. I'm not meeting anybody. I thought me and Carson were gonna be tight. I was gonna be like, hey, me, I boy bands, dude. Like, no. I'm just there. Like,
Yeah.
So that happens. Something kind of starts going in my mind, like, this is kind of whatever. American Idol happens again.
Wow.
American Idol happens again. I go in, sing a song. This time I don't get through any rounds.
No glitter.
No glitter. No glitter.
No glitter.
I literally was like, I'm going to go in. I'm going to sing a Beatles song. Just very classic. Just very whatever. Play it safe. Also not the thing to do. Played it too safe, right? I'm leaving American Idol. As I'm leaving American Idol, a casting director's outside. And he goes to me, you're somebody, right? I'm like, I mean, they didn't think so today, He's like, no. Can I give you my information? Blah, blah, blah. He's casting a reality show. So we're casting a reality show. He's like, can you come to the city on Monday? Here's my information. I'm like, you sure you're not hitting on me, dude? I wasn't sure at the time. But it was all good. I was like, okay, yeah, it's real. Okay, great. So I'm going, so I get there.
Cuban side over came
The
back.
Cuban side of me. I'm like, so I go to the audition. The guy's like, dude, you're great. Like this whole thing, audition, blah, blah, man, you're great. I want to put you in the show. The show was I Love New York. With the Flavor Flav, the spin-off from that.
Oh, okay.
I was supposed to be.
Wait a minute.
I was supposed to be one of the guys.
Wow.
In that show, right?
I watched that season.
So the guy goes to me because I didn't know what it was though. So he's like, "Hey, we'd like to offer you this role." Blah 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 blah. I forgot what we talked about. He hadn't said what it was. So it was undisclosed, right? I thought it was. I don't know what I thought. Honestly, I thought it was something else. So he's like, "You're gonna be one of the guys in the show." I Love New York with this girl who was, in this other show, Flavor Flav. And then he's like, this is the girl. And I was like, nah, absolutely not. You crazy? I was like, no offense. But I'm like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go compete. No, man. Thank you so much. Thank you. Respectfully, thank you. Right. He's like, okay, cool. No problem, man. We have some other runner-ups, but I want to keep you in mind for something else. I was like, okay, cool. Thank you so much. No problem. I leave. 2 weeks later, he calls me. He's like, oh, I got something else for you. It's like, and this will be a little relevant now. He's like, P. Diddy is doing a show for his assistant. We think you'd be a great fit for that. And I'm like, absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's go. Are you kidding me?
Oh, man.
I'm there, dude.
Sign me up.
Yeah, sign me up.
Oh, yeah.
Sign me up.
Glitter on top of baby oil.
Oh,
Damn.
man.
That's going to be a shiny motherfucker.
Yeah.
man.
Look at this Cuban boy over here. Come here.
Oh, man.
So that happens, man, and I was hyped. I'm
P.
like,
Diddy.
man, I'm gonna be the assistant, like, dope, Especially like at the time, the hip hop thing, 2000s was like he was there, and I'm still working the MTV. I'm doing the overnight thing. At the time, now that I'm kind of getting seen, because before this, I had gotten seen for Big Brother, the reality show Big Brother. I had flown out to California. It was a whole thing. It was super weird. They the last thing, it was like they made you take off your shirt and walk around, and it's like, let's see what you will look like in a beta. It's like very weird.
That is weird,
especially at the time. I didn't get that, but I was noticing that I'm like, oh, maybe what Paula meant was that I should do reality TV. That's what I should be. So in looking into that, it's leads me down different paths. One of the paths was an organization for Latin actors. Billy, the same dude from the boy band, pops up.
Billy from Yonkers.
Yes.
Pops up how?
Just randomly. Hey, he would just come here once in a while.
Okay.
yo, bro, you know what I've been thinking about? What was that? Getting into acting. I'm like, oh, okay, will you come and take an acting class with me? And like, you know, do me a solid? Yeah, sure, I'll go. Yeah, no worries. And in my head, I'm thinking, let me see if I can talk to this guy about the music stuff and see where he's at. We get there, we take the music class. We have a meeting with the director after. You know, she's like, this and that. She's giving us a whole rundown. Next day, he quits. I stay in the acting class.
Oh, shit.
I stayed in the
And he's the one that called you for the acting class. Wow,
I
God
stayed.
works in mysterious ways, 100%, bro.
And I was there. That leads me to, you know, all this acting work, right? Background work, this, that, the thing. And then finally, through a Latin casting, I find a casting for a movie called A Taken of Pelham 1, 2, 3, which is a remake.
Great movie.
Wait, that's the Denzel movie, right?
Denzel and John Travolta.
Yeah.
Which I was like, Travolta. I'm like, you know, that's the
Denzel.
man, right?
Fucking go, bro.
You know. So like when you think of like a movie, right, that involves everything I do, would be like something like Grease, right? 'Cause
Oh,
you have
I see why you said
music,
Travolta.
dancing, creating me.
Yeah.
So at the time now, I'm on hold for this P Diddy thing.
I forgot about P. Diddy.
That sounded weird. Puffy. I'm on hold for that. I'm working the graveyard shift at MTV, and now I'm getting into like this acting thing. So I'm like basically, sleeping pretty much a few hours in the city to take a class in the city to then go back to MTV, and then at some point go back to Yonkers and get myself together. Right, that's happening. They offer me the part in the movie. They offer me what they call like I forgot what they called it at the time, but it was like a 4-month contract. And I didn't know anything about it. They're like they were like, you're gonna be mariachi number 2. I'm like, great. How much does it pay? Oh, great. So I'm there 4 months. I turned the P Diddy thing down.
Good thing in hindsight, right?
There you go. So I turned that down. I'm like, oh God, I hope this is the right move. Who knows, right? So I'm into that now. Now I'm working the movie, and I'm shooting like 12-hour shoot days. Then go into MTV at night, right?
So this is 4 months. You said the contract was.
The contract was 4 months,
And you had to be there how many days a week for 12 hours?
at least 5 days, right?
5 days a week.
Yeah.
for
Sometimes
12
you get,
hours.
Sometimes you get 3 days. Sometimes you get 3-4 days if they don't need you.
Okay.
I was still getting paid for the week, which was the nice thing about being in the contract, right?
You had that much camera time.
So
That's a lot
at
of
the
filming.
end, so what happened was we were one of the hostages, right? So most of the movie takes place in the train.
Yeah.
So regardless whether we're
You're one of the hostages
yeah, I was
on
one
the
of
train?
hostages. Yeah,
My man. Because there wasn't that many hostages.
No, I know. I
My
had to
man.
have.
All right. I definitely got to go back on.
So I'm there. You know how it is. They cut things, this, that, whatever. But I'm there the 4 months. I'm there. Travolta's there. We're having dance parties in the train. It was amazing, right? Super nice guy. Denzel, super nice guy.
Wow.
I'll tell you.
Did you and Denzel talk about him being from Mount Vernon? And
Honestly, he was
Yonkers?
very serious. Honestly,
Yeah?
I was a little like, oh, hey. Because the vibe was kind of like, just let him do his thing.
Yeah.
Travolta was a little more like, hey, man, what do you think about this? And I'm like, oh, like that kind of vibe. Both nice, but different approaches. You know what I mean? But again, so many people in the movie said, you don't have time to really do, whatever. You're just trying to make a good impression, And what I do remember, something that wasn't nice, was the guys that were a little bit above us, which they happened to play the bad guys, right? These dudes, they're talking about bullying, right? These dudes, there was a part where we were laying down on the ground in the subway. We're laying down on the subway. Mm-hmm. We're in some random abandoned subway in Brooklyn somewhere, right? Laying there, bro. These dudes, to like get into character, they would walk by. They would literally step on your fingers, like legit. And you'd be like, what the? And then they look at you. The director's like, hey, you can't look at the camera. You're trying to not make a problem, make a good impression. But meanwhile, these dudes are trying to like impose their power by like literally stepping on the characters for real,
Wow.
So there's a lot of different, attitudes in a movie set. So that's what's going on. But I'm like, whatever. I'm getting paid. I don't care. I'm here.
Step on my fingers for 12
Yeah,
hours.
let's go. I got this. You know what I mean? So that's happening. then I get so it's great. I love that it was amazing. Made money. I was able to buy a car just from that gig, which was great.
4
right?
months, you bought
That's
a car.
it. I was
my
like,
man.
yeah, let's go.
I was gonna say it kind of sounded like before you even mentioned the guy stepping on the fingers. Kind of sounded like they were in character because in that movie, John Travolta's character was kind of like a goofy guy.
Yeah.
And this guy's character, Denzel, he was pretty serious. He just wanted to go home. He was like a clean cut guy. So maybe they were all in character.
Right.
Yeah, like a method acting.
Like method, yeah.
Well, that's what I felt like. I'm like, and I honestly wanted to be like, man, your part is not that big for you to be doing all this right now. I'm sorry, but you know what I mean. It's kind of like
you're literally fucking Mount Vernon, bro.
Not Denzel. I'm talking about
the bad guys. The bad guys.
No, Denzel's great, man. No, Denzel's great. He's awesome.
Maybe they were trying to get you in character too.
I'm like, yo, what's going on over here, man?
I didn't know you boxed though.
No, that's the thing. I'm like, man, but. And then I don't think they really worked much again after that. So, there it goes, But, so the movie's wrapping up. Everything's going great. I'm thinking like, man, this is it, And at the same time, I see a casting call for Playland Park, right here in Rye, in Westchester.
Right.
The first theme park that I ever went to was Playland Park when I got to New York. So to me, that was such a, close to the heart situation, right? So I look at the contract. The payment for it is like nothing. You know what I mean? It's like nothing. But I'm singing and dancing, and I'm getting paid to sing and dance.
Well, what was going on at Playland?
So so what happened is, at the time there was a company called American Entertainment Productions. They provide entertainment for the theme parks. They were old school. Playland was one of their parks, so they would hire singer dancers to entertain for the summer.
Like there's a stage and
they have a beautiful stage, everything like that. Where I'm there, I send my casting thing. I think I sang like Uptown Girl, something like that, something kind of like traditional pop. Great, I get cast. The guy's like, hey, cool. What's the pay rate? The pay is $350 a week. Okay, for 7 days, 6 days a week. Right. It was like a 90% pay cut from anything else I was doing. So I'm like, I'll multitask. I'll finish the movie, I'll do Playland, and I'll keep my other job. I'm good. The movie gets extended.
Oh, shit.
So now I'm shooting the movie. I'm going to Playland for a few hours at least. They gave me a little leeway with that.
And then after Playland, MTV.
That's exactly what happened. That's 100% what happened. So by the time I'm getting to MTV, I'm having time to like do 2 hours of work, and then I'm passing out. Then I'm done. Not even on purpose. I'm just literally passing out. And so this is going on for, I don't know, I want to say like a good, like almost a month, a good like 3 weeks, I would say, right? And again, it's, movie, Playland, MTV, just rotation. And at some point I get called into the office at MTV by the supervisor. This kid ratted on me. This shaggy looking dude literally ratted on me. And I remember who it was. He was behind me, and he would just be looking at me, and he just had he just had one of those faces, And they come into the office, and they were like, "Hey, so we hear that you've been, sleeping on the job." And I'm like, "Yeah, that happens. I'm trying to figure out some stuff. I'm sorry about that. Blah blah blah, whatever." He's like, well, you can't do that. I'm like, no, I know, I'm aware. I'm aware. He's like, well, you got a choice. I am willing, people like you here, your supervisor likes you. I am willing to, and the guy was right, rightfully so. He was having that conversation with me. I am willing to let this go, but you got to make some cuts. You need to be here this time, and you got to and you got to figure out who you are. Are you an actor? Are you production? What are you doing? This and that. I was like, all right, thank you so much. I'm going to, I would love to stay here and, be a part of the MTV family. As soon as I got home and I left, I made the decision I was going to quit MTV. 100%.
I want to be part of this family.
So
one of those distant relatives nobody talks to.
So I was making good money there, man. I mean, especially out of college, man. I thought I made it, Plus the movie, I was like, man, this is great. But what happened was I tried Playland. I was in the sun and I was performing, I was singing, I was dancing, and I had a group, and it felt like a boy band.
That's what you were most passionate about.
Right.
Yeah.
So I took like a 90% pay cut to go work at Playland, 6 days a week. But I was happy. Man. The movie finished. It was great. I went to the rap party. That was awesome experience, this and that. I went to Playland, and I thought, man, I'm making it, I'm performing here. I just did this. Next up, right? There was also a situation because there was also a girl there. So I was like, I'm just going to spend some time here in Playland a little bit. Most of my life, that's also driven me. I'm just, we did end up getting married. So,
all right, good.
I mean, later on there was a divorce, but hey,
not good.
but
Ups and downs.
it's life,
Sometimes it's glitter, sometimes it's fucking.
But it was a beautiful, beautiful time. Honestly, that whole entire Playland summer was just a magical. It was a movie. It was, you pop in your standard, teen.
Rom-com?
Not that I was a teen. Rom-com in there.
It sounds
at a park. People dancing. I mean, it was literally a musical. It was beautiful. I loved it. It was great.
Greece was a summer.
Exactly. It literally, it was that. It was that. So I leave Playland, and I'm thinking, man, I that's it. I'm chosen. I am on the escalator all the way up, man. Man, I leave Playland. I didn't get another job for like a year.
Oh shit!
I couldn't get arrested. Couldn't do nothing. I got one call back for High School Musical, for one of the High School Musical joints, and that was it. But nothing. I never got anything a whole year. So now Playland comes back around.
It's a whole year.
Summer. And I'm like, man,
drowning.
That's it. Thankfully.
Oh, you see his glitter popping out of the fucking water.
Thankfully, I had saved some money from the movie and everything like that, right? So Playland comes back around, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna do my thing. Wasn't as fun. Was not as fun. Different cast. Everybody was younger. So they were a little bit like, I literally said this, I will never forget this. Every time I think about this, I actually get annoyed, right? We were talking about music icons and stuff and that, and literally somebody who was a very musical theater person, was like, I think I was saying something about Michael Jackson, and then they were like, well, what was Michael ever done for music? And I went,
wow.
Oh my God, please get me out of here, please. Like this, I cannot, it was a rough summer with that cast, right?
Man.
But something happened at the end. Two things happened. One was I told myself, this is never going to happen again. I'm never going to be out of work again. 100% not. So during that time, I have the Yellow Book, right? Remember the Yellow Book?
I used to work for them.
Right, there you go. And I hit up every entertainment company that I could find in the Westchester area. And I set up appointments for them, interviews for when the contract was over, to have interviews with every one of them. So that's happening. So I'm setting up these appointments. At the same time, the year's wrapping up, and I had developed a good relationship with the producer, one of the owners. And she goes, "Hey, so how would you like to end the season?" And I was like, honestly, can I tell you something? I would love to do just out there in the midway there. Can we do Bye Bye Bye? Like, you remember that song from NSYNC? Yeah. And he's like, sure. So me and a couple of the other cast members put on a little impromptu performance, a pop-up performance for that Bye Bye Bye. It pops like crazy. So from that day, I'm like, okay, there's still something in that. There's still something in that, because that has popped more than anything that has gone on all summer, right? Than any, choreographed, planned, produced experience that we have done. That moment right there has popped more than anything else we've done on summer.
And it was your idea.
Yeah. So.
And it's what he loves the most.
And it's what I love. So I'm like, okay, store this for later, right? I go to all the interviews. And I get offered jobs, thank God, and then they start me off low. They're like $100. You come be a roadie, you come be an assistant. I worked a company here in Yonkers, company in Rye, company in Chappaqua, everybody. I was like, whore me away. You know what I mean? Like, that's essentially.
I was thinking this guy's a job
No,
right now.
I said no. Anyway, bro, whatever. Thursday, Friday, prom, this, that, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Because I didn't even know that you could make money doing that. I didn't even know that that was a thing. I didn't know that, mobile DJs or entertainment companies for events was a thing. I just didn't. Nobody was saying that. Who was telling you that? They were telling you, go to school, learn how to push a button, this, that, whatever it's going to be. Learn, the chords to this. Nobody's saying, yo, you know what? Playing your fancy music, you're probably going to make $100 working in a restaurant. But if you go do these other entertainment things, you could probably make like 500, 1,000, this, that, a night. Nobody says that. Nobody said that. If I knew that, I would have been doing that back from high school. Wow. I would have been like, this is what we're going to do,
So to educate me and whoever else doesn't really understand what an entertainment company does.
Sure. So obviously there's different entertainment companies, but specifically at that time, what I was doing was mobile entertainment, right? So for example, you would do a wedding.
Okay.
You would hire an MC, a DJ. Some people hire a band, right? You hire like lighting, things like that. So I worked with companies that did that. And they did sweet 16s, weddings, bar mitzvahs, communions, anything like that.
So it was no performance though. It wasn't music and dancing.
So to me, I made it a performance, right? So it was what they call a motivator, which a motivator kind of gets out there and interacts with the crowd. Put your hands up, that kind of stuff. But what I was now seeing, I'm like, oh, this is kind of like what I already do. I can take this and implement what I do and kind of grow my brand, right? So how I got the jobs was I had my dance reel, and I would come in and I'd be show on my laptop. Hey, look, I just did this. I sing, I dance, I do X, Y, and Z. Here's my reel, and they would be like, great. You don't have to do any of that here, but it's good that you have that because we could take like a little bit of that and put it in there. Great. What happened was the first company I started work with, which was Don't Stop the Music, in a local company. They would say, hey, you speak Spanish. So this is what we're going to do. Whatever the MC says, you're going to translate. You're going to just literally stand there with them. Whatever he says, you translate. So I would be like, bienvenidos, damas y caballero, the whole thing. And I would look at the guy and like, I go now? Okay, great. Bueno, y ahora, we go into it. And I started doing that. I started getting better and better and better and better. And then I started dancing. So then it was kind of like, oh, wait, we want not the usual guy. We want the guy that dances, that also does this, it became more and more and more and more of that until I became like the guy for that, right? In those companies. So then I would get hired pretty much Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And that's what I was doing, and I would just be, sorry. I almost got attacked. And that kind of became the thing, and I kind of made it my thing, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do these songs. Here's my set, almost kind of like a show. Here's my set. This is the songs that we're going to do. This is what we're going to, how we're going to choreograph this. And it just became more and more and more and more and more. What happened later on is, first of all, your head starts getting a little bigger, full transparency. Because I'm like, hey,
they love you. They love what you do.
You're
I'm like, hey, moving up in the ranks.
Exactly. So what happened was I would try to find the next company that paid more, right? Paid more. And then it kind of gets into a thing of like, do you want to do the volume or do you want to do the quality, right? It's kind of hard to do both. So I kind of went between back and forth on that. What I proposed to one of the companies was, hey, I have an idea. I have this love of music and boy bands and things and all these things. Can I do that with you? Because I think if we did that, you can up your prices. I'll get paid more. You'll get paid more. We're going to have a show. Not just, what we're doing now, which is already great. Don't get me wrong. But I want like a show, because that's how I feel, right? And I had a partner at the time. At the time. One of the kids who worked with me at Playland. One of the guys, right?
Nice.
The first year. And they said to me, well, here's the thing, Edvin. We would 100% would do that with you. We trust you. We don't trust the other guy. And then I said, I'm all about loyalty. That's like, it's been a big thing throughout my life, And I said, well, I can't do that. If that's going to be the deal, I can't do that. So they passed on it, and then I passed on it. And then at the end of the day, the partner left. Because we started it together. After that, started going after clients. Hey, we're going to do this, this new thing now. Has this taken off? The first year, he was like, "Hey man, I don't want to do this," and so it was just me. So my company for me was supposed to be something that I was doing like 15, 20%, and acting was still the main thing. And then it flipped, right? Because I was left alone. So now I'm like, wow, I gotta take all this thing and build it. And so that is pretty much what I started doing. That led me eventually into casting for the different shows, the big boy band show that we do. That's sort of our national show right now.
That's the larger than life, right?
Larger than life.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah. So I just thought that was the thing. That's really what kind of called out to me. Just a bunch of dudes coming together, rocking out, jamming out, singing the songs, dancing the songs. So I started casting for it. It started out because going back to Playland, what I wanted that contract. I wanted to run the entertainment of Playland after that year.
Oh, nice.
Which I did, after COVID. But, it's a full circle thing because that actually happened. But basically, we started the boy band. That show has a park show. Hey, we're going to do a 30-minute throwback set. Has a park show and kind of just having a rotation, maybe at Six Flags, maybe at Playland, things like that. What happened was that show took on a life of itself. It became its own thing, right? So we started opening up for like 98 Degrees, boy band from 90s, more and more. And people were like, can you make it longer? And then we ended up making it like 90 minutes. Then it became a 2-hour thing, And then we would just started getting booked. Hey, you guys do boy bands? I'm like, yeah. Great, we'd like to book you in Cancun.
Wow, no way.
Yeah, bro.
Man.
Also, guess who's the MC?
Sick.
Joey Fatone from NSYNC.
Wow.
What? Huh? What? No. What?
Screw you, Simon.
Yeah.
Right? Simon says he's not.
I said, man,
but Paula was right.
Paula was right. I was like, man, I've had practice for this. Yes, we will do this gig.
She is Arabic. You gotta
That was it. So, and I'll tell you a funny Joey Fatone story. So we get to Cancun. We're rocking. The show's rocking, and it hasn't always been rocking because sometimes you got to switch the cast because they're just dramatic people. Always exist in anything, right? But we get there. The show's rocking. We meet with Joey. Great. We're doing "I Want It That Way" together because he's also doing those songs. We're covering Backstreet and Sync, right?
So he's jumping in.
He's jumping in.
No way.
he's like performing with
Right.
one of his heroes.
So the whole sort of move, right, is he comes in, he's hyping up the crowd. Welcome to this '90s throwback, Cancun, Hard Rock Cafe, this, that, blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
The whole thing, right? We're here, we're gonna rock out. We got a couple thousand people in the crowd. This is like a corporate event, right? We do our show, and then towards the end, he's gonna come out for the last two songs. Our last two songs are "I Want It That Way" and "Bye Bye Bye." So, of course, you hear the guitar riff. He starts coming out. People start losing their mind. Oh, my God. Da, 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 da. He starts singing, man. He's on. He's rocking out. We're just like, bro, do your thing. We're here. Does his thing. We're doing "I Want It That Way." Pops. Great. Bye, bye, bye comes in. Everybody comes in. Ba, ta, ta. There's the whole thing. He's in. Rocking out. We're here. Dude. Now, not to say like this, not to go like this, but I consider myself on the better side of the dancing side as far as the group, right? You always have your he's really a great, high singer. This guy's really got the dancing, I'm like, for me, I'm like, guys, I got the dancing, that kind of thing, right?
My man.
So we're doing "Bye Bye Bye," and there's a part where, you go side to side and before you kind of get into this, right? And I've done this song, I don't know, at least 1,000 times, right? More than that, and we're in a catwalk, right? And Joey Fatone is in front of me. He's leading the thing. We're backing him up. You know, the whole thing. But we're supposed to slide and slide. Doing one of the slides, I go 1, 2, off the stage.
What's on?
I fell off the catwalk.
No.
I fell off the catwalk.
Oh man.
Literally.
Oh.
I land on this lady.
You're the best dancer.
I know. That's the funny part. That's the crazy part.
Man.
That's the crazy part.
Shit.
I land on this lady, right, on her foot, and I'm like, I'm still doing my thing. Okay, I'm here. How did this happen? I'm in the mosh pit, essentially. Everybody's looking up, and then I look up, bro, and I see like a hand just reach down. It's Joey Fatone. It's Joey Fatone.
He's probably
like,
been to that so many times.
yeah.
It's nothing.
He's
to
like,
him.
bro, I got you. Pulls me up. Comes back for the last chorus of Bye Bye Bye, man. We hit it. Bam! Crowd goes wild. Dude. It was amazing, man. It was amazing, dude.
That's dope.
It was
Wow.
crazy. So, but I and you know, amazing. I paid so well. The next day we were out in the pool in the Hard Rock, the beach is there. Everybody's just getting drinks. We're just like, man, this ain't even life right now. This is awesome.
Man.
In my head, I'm thinking like F you to everybody that ever said no to me. Where you at? Where you at? You know, like a thing. The next day we fly back and we have to do a bar. Just a bar. Just a bar.
Yeah.
Costume
Bring you
change.
back to reality.
That's it. The costume change. Where's the costume change? Fire escape. Fire escape was
Wow.
like- And it's
Fire
really like,
escape.
and I told the guy, that you know what I'm saying? It's always this,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
We literally were just in Cancun at the peak of just performing stuff with Joey Fatone, you know, $100,000 production, this,
Oh,
that,
yeah.
the thing, Cancun bars in your rooms, pool in your room, everything, whatever.
Wow.
And today we flew back. We're doing a bar here in, I won't mention the town, but in a small town. Where the changing room is the fire escape.
Fire escape.
Crazy.
Wow.
But that's what it is, you know? But that's just what it is. It's just, you know, it's always this. And you got to stay humble, you know? And because they can, at any point, it could just not be that, you know? So you always got to work. And, you know, we try not to say no to any gig. You know, I always say, you know, we have the work coming in. We got to take it because, you know, you don't know when it's not going to be around, right? So, yeah. So,
How active are you guys now?
oh man, yeah, we tour pretty much every week. You know, touring the country. You know, East Coast, West Coast, down south. You know, whatever. So for that show, for Larger Than Life, the ultimate boy band tribute, which is because my company name is Larger Than Life Shows, but that show itself is the boy band tribute. So there's a little. Sometimes people get confused. There's only like 2 other acts in the entire United States that do anything that's kind of like us.
Wow.
But we are the only ones that can do the show with a live band and with tracks. So we could do it, with like musical tracks, just like the guys used to do back in the day. You know, where you just come out and there's a DJ playing the tracks and you just do it. Or we could do it with our live band.
Wow.
Everybody else can only do really either or. And we're the only ones who have like a real concert experience, you know, like it's not just, I've seen a couple of shows and, you know, some of them seem a little like parody like. Some of them seem more like a jam band, I always say, and we're like
a cover band.
Yeah, we're like a concert. We're like a show. We're like, you know, so
You're
thank
doing
God.
it the way they did it.
Exactly, you know. So that's been a blessing, and that years later led me to, you know, opening up different shows. Latin show, we got a Latin show that happens now, and it led me to, after COVID, during COVID, actually during 2020, we ended up getting the contract for Playland.
Nice.
So it's kind of like a full circle moment.
Absolutely.
After years and years of reaching out, man, hey, I would love to come in. You know, they had a company that was there for years. You know, after COVID, we got the contract. Then COVID happened, shut it down. Then finally the next year they were like, okay, we're opening in 2021. Did Playland. It was great.
You on stage with masks?
Actually, they had a little stage.
Because you guys have to be decently close to each other.
Well, what happened was the difficult part was the rules kept changing. So at some point it was this, that, At some point, we needed to put extensions. At some point, we had to have the mask. You can only take the mask off when you were doing X, Y, and Z moves. It was weird. The park was completely overloaded. It's the most that park had ever seen. With traffic just coming in.
People were dying to get out the house.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. So then we take the park. I'm here like, man, we did it, man. Dreams come true. I remember this back in the day when I was a kid. The other day, I actually watched a video of us in like 1991, of me like literally off the boat, being in Playland and telling my mom like, "Mira, toma Playland, blah, blah, blah." And so like, I sound so funny. Like, my mom, why did you let me talk like that? I sound like a dick. So, like super, super.
You had Cuban, you had Panamanian influence.
I was just like, but
What are they speaking in Panamanian? Spanish?
Spanish, yeah. But it's the but the Cuban thing at that time, watching the video, man, my accent was like, very specific. And it's crazy to look back at that and be like, full circle from seeing that to then working there to then I'm like, oh, we run this. Like being able to say that for me, I was like, man, I feel there's nothing that can be done. There's nothing that you can do. Funny enough, the next year we lost the park.
No,
because they sold the park.
Oh, okay.
So Westchester County sold it to a private user, right? The user brought in their big name, who was there before. Guess what? Next year, they called us back.
Nice. Because
they were like, oh, actually, those guys were actually better. So we were back there, and that was also like a self, like, oh, that's great. That's great response. And then, it's been a little bit of a crazy ride with that, So
that's amazing, man. You really created something out of your passion.
Thank you.
That's really cool.
It's pretty inspiring, man.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
So what about the acting? Because when I looked you up, you had a lot of roles.
Yeah. So I was doing. Thank you. I was doing great, man. When I was doing acting, Blue Bloods and
Orange is the New Black, Gotham. Those are pretty big shows.
Thank you. It was great. It was great. Awesome. It's funny because during that time is when I had the most like, I want to say sway. And a little bit of like you can go somewhere and demand something. Let's say like, hey, I want this on my contract, and people would like. Tend to like give it to you, which is really nice. It was really nice. I'm like, I want the green M&Ms, But I understand why they do that now. I understand, but you guys know why they do that, right?
No.
It was something that was like a band had asked for some kind of technical, and their writer, the people didn't do it. So when the band went to the equipment, they got shocked. They got electric shocked. So because of that, and it's a famous, it might have been Kiss or something, I don't recall, but that's why now that's such a famous thing. That's like they put like this weird request in the writer to make sure that you're reading, to make sure that you're actually paying attention to what's being said.
That makes sense.
Because then it's like, oh, who requested the animal crackers? Me. Did you also see the thing that says there about great? Like that's kind of the thing. But it's been great, man. So I was acting, doing a lot of work with that. Then we had a baby, so that kind of shifted the paths, because what happened was I had an agent reach out to me. I had an audition with this big time, like old school New York City casting director. Literally where it's just you come in the couch. That's not right. You walk in, and there's a couch, and he's just looking at you like you have four eyes. He's like, okay, so now I want you to do the scene, and I remember specifically, this is a line where you're supposed to laugh, and smile, right, and then you do the line. Oh, and then he said jump, ha ha ha, right? He's like, no. You laugh through the line. What does that even mean?
As you're speaking, you're
laughing.
Right,
it's like, no. You laughed a little too early. Wait a little bit. It's like that specific. And you're like, they're like, okay, yes, sir. Oh my God. That kind of thing. So, but at that time, those fears and that self-doubt and sort of consciousness of like, let me get somebody to like me. I didn't really have that. Like, I don't have that now at all. Like, like now I'm like, hey man, this is me. You get what you get. Yeah. I'm always going to work hard. I'm always going to be there. But I'm not going to like, put on something for you to like me, which earlier on, it's hard to get to that point. So I'm there with the casting director. I think I have a good audition, whatever. The agent calls me back, and she's like, "Hey, they want to see you. I think Friday or whatever, right?" But Friday, I had been building my business. I had bookings, So I'm like, "Oh, hey, I'm sorry, I'm not available that day, And she goes to me, "You're not available that day. This is such and such person's giving you a call back." I'm like, "Yeah, but it's a callback. It's not a booking. Like, they have me on tape. They've seen me a few times. I can only say the words a certain amount of ways. I'm not going to give you any, And she's like, "Edvin, I need to have a serious conversation with you." and this was a very old school agent. I remember I had auditioned for her years ago, and she didn't take me the first time around, And it took for me to get jobs, because that's the other thing, right? People don't want to give you a job. You do have to show that you can get jobs yourself for them to then want to give you jobs, right? Because they're like, "Oh wow, there's something about this person. Let me try to add to it," right? It's like the chicken or the egg. So she goes to me, "Well, you need to decide. Are you a DJ or are you an actor?" And I'm like, I am a business person that has a business and that will do whatever will clear the check. So if Friday I have an event that's going to pay me X, my responsibility is to show up to the event. If that's not okay with you, okay.
Yeah.
So that kind of turned me a little bit away from some of that work. I did a bunch of independent stuff. I love the independent stuff because you feel like you can really put your hands on it. And you can really get a part of it. I remember the first SAG job that I did was a show called A Gifted Men, which is on CBS. I played like an EMT, driver. And I got paid well. I still have the check, right? I still have the check hanging up. I got paid well, but I thought I was going to feel so much better being on that set. I didn't. I felt like shit.
Why?
Because I was such a small part of it, And I was working with around our time, there was a show called Buffy, right?
Oh,
Buffy
yeah.
Angel, right? I was working with one of the co-stars from the Angel show, one of the vampire co-stars, and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm totally crushing, and she's awesome, and this, that, bro." And I couldn't even appreciate it because I felt so this is not, it was kind of like, okay, that's a wrap, Evan, thank you, move on to the next, right? Which is great, that's fine, that's the job, but that's not what I seek, I want it to be a part of something, compare that to a film that I've done that I've gotten paid less, but it's a little more of a community. You feel like, hey, I'm looking at you, we're interacting, we're here. Man, that's like fulfilling, man.
You're not just a pawn.
Yeah, exactly. Don't get me wrong, if the check is right, we'll go be a player. But the check's got to be right,
100%.
But it's so much better, and just that great memories and great work, So I was doing a bunch of the independent films. And then I took a little break. To kind of essentially focus on my kid and my business. And it actually wasn't until recently when I went back to acting, because I was doing something with Marvel and Airbnb, actually.
What?
Yeah.
Marvel and Airbnb.
Yeah. So it just literally we all have to practice, and I got to practice even more. It's like sometimes we do this subconsciously. You kind of picture something and you put all the right intentions and it comes to you, right? But we do that almost by accident. The trick, I think, is to know how to do it consistently, right? So there's not a lot of things that I really, really enjoy that are not work. I'm a workaholic. I love working, right? But I like X-Men, right? I love X-Men, the cartoon. I was a fanatic, right?
The new one is fire.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So that just finished. And I'm there. That's the only TV I watched, pretty much since my kid was born, So I'm there, man. I'm glued on. I'm like, man, this is awesome. What is going on? It's taking me back, whatever.
Hell yeah, bro.
All that stuff, man. It was
bro.
right?
The new X-Men show.
X-Men finishes.
Fucking cartoon, bro. That shit.
Yeah.
Poppin'.
It was crazy. It was incredible.
Yeah.
First, it was an incredible show. The writing, everything was great, right? From a fan and from a kid, nostalgic point of view, that was also fantastic.
Yeah.
So X-Men finishes, and I'm telling my wife, I'm like, okay, we gotta watch X-Men. I don't know what we're gonna do. We're gonna watch X-Men. Everything else is in a hole right now. We gotta watch some X-Men, you know? And she's like, cool. She's like, all right, cool. She gets me a little rogue action figure from it. And she puts it, she's like, oh, here, I got you this. I'm like, oh, wow, thank you so much.
Don't touch it.
Right? The next day, a casting pops up for an X-Men immersive experience.
Oh.
Right? And I'm like...
At an Airbnb.
100%. 100%. So they take an Airbnb and they completely transferred it into the X-Mansion.
Wow.
So
Which is in Westchester.
Which is in Westchester, Bedford Hills. So...
Like in the comic book.
Yeah.
I got it.
It's Westchester, New York.
So I'm like, I haven't really done this kind of work in a while. I haven't worked for anybody else in however long time. And okay, let me just shoot an email out. So I literally sent an email out to be a production assistant. I said, hey, I drive. I work in Westchester. I live in Westchester. I would love to just be a part of this project. If you guys need any help. I know a lot of actors don't drive. They don't have a license, they don't have a car, whatever. I'm like, I volunteer as tribute. Like, I'm cool with whatever. The pay rate was cool. The casting director hit me back. He was like, bro, don't you do like films and TV and this and that? And I'm like, yeah, no, I do. And it's like, so do you want to apply to be one of the roles? I'm like, what? Like essentially,
Yeah.
I'm like, sure, I guess I can if you think it's okay with you. Like that. And I'm like, no, remember, come on now. No. Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So he's like, okay, send me a tape. So I sent a tape. I'm like, hey, how you doing? My name is Edvin, this and that. They send me the lines, and I'm like, damn, I haven't done one of these in a minute. Sent it in, got a call back, get on the Zoom, because now there's a lot of Zoom, right? So we do the Zoom callback, and we get past the acting part, and they get to the part where they're like, tell me about yourself. I'm like, okay, this is great. This feels like a connection we're about to have. So I literally was in the studio recording at Mercy College, by the way, at the new location. So I come out of the studio. I'm like, hey, I need 10 minutes. I get on the Zoom, talk to the people, book the job. And
Nice.
I was there for another 3-4 months, being an X-Men character
In a live performance?
in a live performance.
Wow.
What character were you?
I was a new character. I was essentially like a host type of character.
Oh, okay.
My mutant power was electrical manipulation.
Oh,
So
nice.
I would tell people like, it's an immersive thing. So I would be like, hey, you got that Forge device you got there? Raise it up. It's the phone. It's Forge is from the future, right? We're supposed to be in 1997.
The Native American dude.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, do me a favor. Hey, you could totally use it to take photos, videos of the performance, everything like that. But please don't text anything weird. I communicate with electronics, and if you text something weird, I'm gonna pick it up and I'm gonna look at you a little bit differently. So please don't get anything weird, and it'll be like that kind of thing. And then we go off and like, come on, let's go in, and here's Jubilee and that whole thing, and it was amazing, bro. And honestly, the best, if not the best, one of the best casts I've ever worked with. Everybody was so cool.
It's tied directly to Marvel, right?
Type of Marvel, yeah. Marvel had to approve everybody on the production. We had Cyclops from the movies. Come in one week.
The young one or the OG one?
The OG one. The OG
Wow.
That's dope.
That's dope.
And it was fantastic, man. Everybody was so cool. Everybody was great. We didn't want it to end. We just wrapped. That's when I was like, hey, I'm back in town. I'm like,
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
free. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, we've been trying to link for a while, man.
because it was almost like a 7-day a week.
Yeah.
type of
Wow.
thing.
Really?
Yeah. So it was so it was one week on, 1 week off. But then in those other weeks, I was traveling out for the show, for my live show. So it was just kind of like, bum, change hats, change costumes, essentially, go out of town, do this, and then it kind of all just kind of concluded. So, but that kind of has gotten me back into acting and all that live stuff on the acting side now. So,
Very nice.
another full circle thing.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, man, and God bless your mom and grandmother for giving you showing you the work ethic, bro.
Yeah, man, I'm 100%.
'Cause
Thank
if it
you.
wasn't for that,
No,
You
100%.
wouldn't have gone too far, even
No.
with the brains and the talent.
100. I mean, I never,
Yeah.
I never thought I had brains or talent. So, if I'm being honest, I just always thought that I'm gonna outwork anybody here right now. Like,
Yeah.
I am either gonna outwork them or I'm gonna just pass out in trying to do it.
Trying to do it.
But I remember my mom. I mean, my mom, the minute she got him, my mom went right into work, from the morning to 11 p.m., because, we were, at the time, she was a single mom. And, bills needed to be paid. And things just needed to get done, and she just, figured it out. So 100%. That's why, like, one of I have two pet peeves. One is entitlement. And the other one is very closely related. People who just don't want to work for stuff. I can't stand that. Because I always tell people, like, listen, if I can do it, you could do it. 100%. I don't want to hear an excuse.
Absolutely.
Especially if you were born here, and especially if you have the means, the education. If you were told that you should start saving for the future, you're already 10 steps ahead. A lot of us weren't told that. I'm just learning that stuff as an adult.
Yeah.
A lot of it from YouTube. Like
YouTube
people like you who
University,
put knowledge out there, interview people and things like that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because for me, I mean, I think some people were very blessed to have, close family members or friends that had that knowledge and could pass on. Let me, school you on something.
100%.
This is actually what you need to be doing. That and entertainment, no. That's why you see people don't have their publishing, their this, any kind of rights. And MC Hammer, he was, the biggest pop star for a minute, and then just no money, right?
100%.
That is not like just like a freak accident that happened to him.
It's common, right?
That's common. Yeah. That's common. I mean, even there's friends that I work with that are beyond talented. I mean, beyond talented. Done the Broadway thing, this and that, and then they start bartending. Nothing wrong with bartending. I'm not saying that's anything wrong with that, but look at that mentality, right? Of like, you just did this crazy thing, like you just went to the moon. You just did the equivalent of somebody going to the moon. You just did a Broadway show. You did this, and now your next gig is this. I'm not demeaning that. That's a job is a job. That's great, but that somebody didn't put you on to say, hey, if you want to keep this kind of thing going, there's a couple things that you should probably be planning for, right? We don't really get that. A lot of people don't really get that, and that's how we get in trouble, and we get into this weird things of, you see all these talented people, who are just not doing anything, that really shouldn't be, But
That's why it's good to have a mentor.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. 100%.
Absolutely. Who is Anthony Abeson? Am I saying that right?
Oh, Anthony Abeson. Yeah. He was one of my acting teachers.
Nice.
From the city. Really kind of, I think took my acting into the next level. Just really different stuff. And he always said something that I think it's true now, because you know how it is. Like sometimes you have a class, some people show up early, some people show up late, this, that, do the work. And he always said, hey, talk to me like I'm Steven Spielberg, right? You wouldn't do this if you were taking a class with Steven Spielberg right now, right? So why would you do it with me? And he would say that to everybody, and that like stayed with me. He also said something one time, because he was acting, does act, and he mentioned like that his brother, I think it was his brother, was used to act as well, and he mentioned seeing his brother and how his brother was a civilian. We call it a civilian now, right? When you've kind of stopped doing entertainment and stopped acting.
You went back to being a civilian.
Right, you went back to civilian. And he's like, I just want you guys to know that, like, when I saw him, the sparkle in his eye was gone. So choosing to stop doing something because you want to, that is the correct thing to do. If you are good and you're done, great. But choosing to stop doing something because you're told you can't, or because you just are giving up, that's not going to do anything for you. That's going to take the sparkle, out of your eye. And you never want to do that, And that is also that something that's stayed with me, that I was like, I don't, everything I try to do, I try to make sure that I want to do. that I really want to do. Like, I'm perfectly cool with stopping something because it's my choice. Hey, you know what? I'm going to say no to that project. I'm going to say yes, no, but I'm choosing to do that. I'm not doing that project out of fear, out of laziness or out of, judgment. I've never wanted to do that, because that's not really going to lead anywhere positive, and it's not going to be a good example, and it's also just not, it's not going to take you on your right path.
100%.
So that's,
they say if you wouldn't do it for free, it's not really your love.
100%, 100%.
And I wanted to say that earlier, but the conversation just kept going. When you first went to Playland that first summer, where you took a pay cut,
Yeah.
but you loved it more than what you were getting paid more to do. That's when you really knew. Well, you can look back at least and say that was really your love.
Yeah, I mean the stuff, so I mean anything I do now, I would, I'd probably do for free.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
Like, I'm like, what I get to play around.
And
I
you
get
get
to be
paid
a
on
kid.
top, so you're winning both ways.
Right. I mean, I think the best versions of ourselves were probably when we were kids. I believe that.
Absolutely.
I mean, look, I as a kid, I always was very like romanticize things. I was always like, oh, I'm gonna meet a girl and this and that, and I've made this whole romantic type of like innocent thing. As I got older, I got jaded, and that made me do things that were not in line with really who I was supposed to be. Mm-hmm. Now I'm past that. I've kind of have gone back to how I was as a kid, and that is actually better. I feel better. I think my actions are more aligned. But I think the answer is, it's going back to that kid place. To me, it's like, okay, what feels good there? I think that is the answer, because I think it's like, I think we are kind of born or raised kind of already knowing, or at least partially knowing, what we like, what we're supposed to do, who we are supposed to be. Then life happens, right? Who tells you this, what you see here, what you read there, and then you start getting affected. You start getting
Absolutely.
affected, and your vision, your perception starts changing.
You begin getting influenced.
Right. And you start being somebody else to fit into that.
Yeah.
And maybe it even feels cool, because it has felt cool for me. When I felt like I was, I'm this jaded person, I felt like, there's an edge to it, But in reality, it really wasn't, I think for me, straying away from that kid, that innocent, was a mistake. I think any success that I've had has always been related to coming back to that.
Absolutely.
Anything that feels
I agree.
good with that,
Tapping into your inner child.
Yeah, 100%.
I agree 100%. We're nearing the end of the podcast. Yep. If you could please let the people know where they could find you,
sure.
Anything you have coming up, and any last advice you'd like to leave the people.
Wow, sure. Well, thank you all for having me, man. It's so good to connect with this guy.
Hell yeah, man.
Man, my bro right here, man. You've been fantastic, man. Thank you so much. Hey, my name is Edvin Ortega. You can connect with me social media at Edvin Ortega Presents, or the company at We Are Larger Than Life. That's cool too. And anything coming up, pretty much everything. I think social media is probably the best way to see any of that, but we are constantly in town, out of town, coming to a town near you. So, say hello, hit us up. And as far as any advice, I think there is no no. There is no no, as long as you are, doing good things. By good things, I mean, positive things that are positive for you, positive for your community, family, your surroundings. I don't think there's a wrong answer necessarily. I think everybody can do whatever they want. I just think the important thing to know is literally anything that you can imagine is possible. Like literally, like just go and do it, and just go work at it, and just don't make excuses. Don't fall into that. don't fall into the I didn't get this because of that. No. You could do it. Do you? It's all possible. So
That's beautiful. 100%. I agree.
thank you, brother. Thank you.
Mike, any last words?
I just want to thank you for coming on, man. I'm very happy to see you again, and I'm very happy to see the success. And, nice story. You're a phenomenal storyteller, bro.
Oh, thank you.
I don't know if you got that from the wrestling promos when we were younger or not, but
That's right.
But yeah, he's really an entertaining storyteller, man.
No, man. Thank you.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. And you should audition for WWE maybe. One
Ah,
day. I'm surprised you never did that.
I'm gonna bring the sparkles. In.
Throw it in the face like Goldust or something.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
I like
man, but-
that.
yeah, thank you, friend.
Thank you guys absolutely
Thank
for
you.
being
Thank
here.
you. Thanks so
Absolutely.
much.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. Please subscribe, and peace and love.
Fuck you, Simon. Come on, man.
Oh man.